next guest, you know, as Marcus, the pastry chef who is as sweet as the desserts he makes on The Bear. Season 3 of The Bear premieres a week from Thursday on Hulu. Please welcome Lionel Boyce. Great to have you here. I heard this is your first time ever on a talk show, huh?
Yeah, it's my first time.
You know what? It's very easy. You just sit there and I'll ask you some questions. Sometimes they'll laugh, sometimes they won't. Don't let it throw you either way, you know?
All right, that's easy.
Okay, and let's begin. No. You, by the way, you do a great job on The Bear. That's, I think it's a great show, and you seem like your character, Marcus, the way he plays, like the coworker everybody would want to have at any job that they do.
Well, that's really nice.
Don't you think so? I mean,
yeah, I kind of.
Yeah.
I never thought about it, but I just think about the one episode where he was not doing what he was supposed to and everyone's upset with him, but outside of that, I guess so. He's easy to get along
everybody sometimes does what they're not supposed to do, but as long as they have a good reason for doing what they weren't supposed to do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad we settled that. Do you now, and I've asked this question of a lot of your coworkers, but I just think it's interesting, get a lot of attention at restaurants?
Yeah, more than I ever did in my life, obviously. There's no reason to before, but yeah. Yeah, actually, it's funny. The other day, I was eating with my dad for Father's Day.
Oh.
And we were at a restaurant, and I guess they kind of caught wind that I was there. And it was a waiter who wasn't serving us before, but it was this lady, she came over, and my glass was already full of water. And she's like, do you need water? And I was like, no, I'm good. And she just like started doing that, and I was like, oh. And my dad's like, what's that about? And I was just like, I think she recognized me, like, oh, you're just like unfazed by it.
Do they try to show off now with the pastry chef stuff? I mean, like the desserts?
Well, sometimes they'll give me extra pastries or whatever desserts. And
They're trying to show off.
So, yeah, that's a dream come true.
Yeah. And then this, right. I mean, it's like, it's funny because it's great until you decide, like, I got to lose a few pounds. And then you're like, I don't want to insult these people. I'm going to eat 4 desserts.
Yeah, and I'm like, who am I to say no? So I just take it and eat it and just wallow in pain after.
Because the show's super popular because it's set in a restaurant with people who work in restaurants.
Yeah.
And also then you probably feel like you have to tip heavily, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's like
It's part of the deal.
Yeah, you just think about it as like it'd be embarrassing if they're like, what is this skimp tip? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Who got you like interested in acting in the first place?
It's funny. I kind of came into it through. I didn't grow up like wanting to be an actor. I did love movies. Like I watched a lot of movies with my dad growing up, and I kind of came into it when I did Lord of Squad, the sketch show with my friends back in the day for Adult Swim. But I just always did love movies growing up. I just never thought of myself getting into it.
What would you and your dad watch the most?
I mean, we watched a lot. I would tell you his favorite movie was Blade.
Blade with Wesley Snipes.
Yes. I think that's every dad's favorite superhero. I remember when that movie came out, my dad, he saw like Friday night with my brother, and then Saturday he comes up to me like, have you seen Blade? And I'm like, no, I'm 7. Of course I haven't seen it. He's like, do you want to go see it? I'm like, sure. And he was quoting this movie for like the next 6 months. I honestly believe there was like a 3-week span where he thought he was Blade.
He's over that now?
I don't know.
I tell you, when you just said every dad's favorite superhero, I was thinking about my dad. He has no favorite superheroes. He does not. He watches bowling. I mean, those are his superheroes.
Let me ask you, has he seen Blade?
Has he seen Blade? No, you know what? I bet you he hasn't
That'll
seen
change
Blade.
his life.
Yeah. I don't know if my mom would let him see Blade, but I'll have to find out. When The Bear won, I think a Golden Globe, you gave this speech, and this is a big cast.
Yeah.
How did they decide that you would be the one to give the speech?
You know, I asked myself the same question.
Oh.
No, a couple of the producers, Josh Sr. and Cooper Wade, called me like 2 days before and was like, you know, we were all talking, and we decided that if we win, we want you to give the speech. And I immediately freaked out, naturally, as one would do. And then I was like, all right, I'll do it. This is a good opportunity. So, you know, that's how it came to be. And the day of, then, you know, it's kind of the way my experience for it was, you know, when you're a kid and you get an F on your report card and you're like, the whole day, you know, your report card's home and you're just like counting down to when you get home and your mom's going to see this and like you're like getting in trouble. That was my experience in the room.
Really?
I was just like nervous because I was like, this is a big thing. I don't want to, you know, you don't want to.
In a way, it's like you're worried you might get an A on your report card, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's like a weird thing where it's like as it gets closer, you're kind of like, well, now I kind of have this weird feeling like I kind of hope we don't win, so I don't have to speak. That's something I don't know. But it's like as it gets closer and closer, you get more nervous, and then I just had this feeling like, okay, I think we're gonna win just because that's how my life likes to treat me. So just prepare yourself. And yeah, we won, and then you just blacked out. And then it's over.
Your mouth goes, you start talking, and then did you go back and review what you said to make sure it all made sense?
No,
you did not.
Don't look back. You don't look back.
There's an episode, you're like, they call it a standalone episode, right? Where you go over to Copenhagen, you guys went to?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Rami Youssef, who directed that episode.
Yeah.
And you went to what they say is the best restaurant in the world.
Yeah, we got to go to Noma. We got to eat there. We got to like kind of shadow for a day just to see how they work. And it was really cool for the most part. And I know Rami's been on the show, and he's probably told you that he couldn't stop talking about Panera Bread the entire time.
Specifically, he told us that he was bragging to them at Noma that he'd worked at Panera Bread.
Yeah, that's an understatement. He wouldn't stop. It was like 10 in the morning. First time, you're like, oh, that's funny. It's like 3 p.m. I just see him over in the corner like, you know, when I worked at Panera Bread, I was like, embarrassed.
So did you sit down and have a meal there?
Yeah, it was really cool because I think something I like is just observing anything at like the highest level, like within the industry that I'm in or anything. So it was cool to see a restaurant at that level just to see. It's like a reminder that everything at the top level, you get to do things on your terms. Like they give you a menu at the end as a souvenir, not like suggest what you eat. And they take dietary restrictions only like what will kill you. Like you're eating anything other unless it kills you, then we'll give you a substitute. So
Really?
it was really cool. It felt like, you know, like what I assume Tarantino's experience is making a movie, where it's just like, I'm making this and everyone's on board because they want to get his experience.
Except for he will kill you if he feels like it. It will help the film in some way. He doesn't have any dietary restrictions, I think. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, congratulations. I look forward to seeing what happens with you and with Marcus's mother, who's, you know, we had a cliffhanger, the whole deal. We will find out. They won't just ignore that.
I mean, it's weird me knowing the answers and just like in like 2 weeks you'll know and we can have this conversation.
Okay, all right. That seems reasonable. All right. Season 3 of The Bear premieres a week from Thursday on Hulu. Lionel Boyce, everybody. We'll be back in Madison Beer.